Welcome back to the podcast From Dentist to De Novo. I'm your host, Jonathan Miller, and the sweatshirt is by design. I'm not in the normal blazer or jacket today because I do have the distinguished honor of having Dr. Hales on the podcast. Welcome, Dr. Hales, to the podcast.
Hey, thanks, Jonathan. So excited to be here today.
Yes. I'm Tyler Hales? Do I just call you Tyler? Do I call you Doc? Dr. Hales is kind of my default. Is that?
Yeah, that's great.
Great, cool.
I'm good with really anything.
You are very laid back, which is great, and it makes it easy to talk to you. And full disclosure, we've been chatting now for like 30 minutes, so we need to jump into the podcast part of it so that the audience doesn't miss some of the gold that we're talking about. But I did wear this as an homage to you because, if I'm being truthful, I don't like merch when dentists do it. And I have doctors that are like, I want to have T-shirts and I want to have things, and then I'm like, nobody's going to want to wear that, dude. Nobody cares. And I find myself wearing this thing all the time. And I will tell you for a couple reasons. One, it is kind of high quality. I don't know what brand you use when you got it, but it's super soft. It's great. I also got hooked up. You hooked me up, got it for free. That was also cool. But also this part about it saying California on it and just the Hales aesthetic, it's not like it says super smiles or, such and such teeth or whatever. I probably wouldn't wear that.
Yeah.
When you came up with the name, how did you come up with the name? Because it's easy and clean. It's not. I don't want to say it's generic, but it gets the point across.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously branding behind it, and I always hate I hate the merch that it's like marketing everywhere, right? And it's and it sticks out in your face. You're like, oh, that's totally what they're trying to get across, right? And I grew up. I really I love dressing up. I love clothing. And so fashion's always been a real passion of mine. So when I created merch, I was always like, dude, I want to create my own clothing line. That's how I kind of looked at it versus hey, let's get my brand out there, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted something that, again, is comfortable that I want to wear. And what is someone else going to find that's fashionable, right? So we do kind of the oversized sweatshirts.
Yep. But
also super comfortable. I wear mine to the gym every single day.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm not gonna pick something unless I really wanted to wear it and that
Fair.
it actually looks good on me.
Yep.
So that kind of is how we game planned it. And then you look at what's trending, of course, right? Okay, what are all the big companies doing?
Yeah.
And there's actually sweatshirts that look like that people are paying $80, $90 for.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we want to create it where our patients, get things for coming to see me, get their veneers, but also have something comfortable that they can wear.
Which takes me to, you've been in the game how long now? Without aging yourself, but you've been doing it for how long?
Yeah, for over 10 years now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And in that 10 years time, when did you evolve from, I don't want to say just a dentist, but into this, essentially this kind of cosmetic aesthetic veneer specialist, if you will, or what's the proper term I should be saying?
Yeah, I always think about what do I call myself?
Yeah.
Right? What do you do for work? And I'm like, oh, I'm a dentist, but I'm not a dentist, right? At the same time, I realized, and it's been hard to kind of get away from what am I, right?
Yeah.
And so I do say maybe cosmetic dentist is what the normal term people would understand, but it's so much more than that, right? When I specialize in smile makeovers and veneers. So I don't have a term, right? I should figure out a term.
Yes, you definitely need to figure out a term. If nothing else, something that you just deliver with I'm a this guy.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, part of how you do it though as well. So in no uncertain terms, and at least from my perspective, and I know you'll be humble about it, but I think you're massively successful at what you do and what you've created. And as I was talking to your team earlier, 80,000 followers on Instagram is no joke, and you don't get there overnight. And I know it took you a long time to get there. Before we talk about that piece of it, the part about you and how you get patients to trust you and team members to trust you, I think comes across in how you are every day as a person, which is probably taking me all the way back to why you haven't got some borderline cliche or cheesy name for yourself, because you're just a genuine guy. And it comes across in meeting you, and I think people see that about you and like it, because I see a lot of, for lack of a better term, charlatans on social media.
Yeah.
And then, I can't help it, but almost weekly now, I'm seeing, usually on the East Coast, usually in the Southeast, a veneer tech or whatever got busted because they had no degree whatsoever, and they're super gluing teeth on people.
Yeah.
And so I think that also makes a guy like you press pause and go, well, wait a minute. So how do I deliver this message, but also everybody should know that I kind of know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
So you're in a
it's
tough spot.
It is tricky. Like I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and I've actually kind of called it out. I saw this kind of transition, right, where I was doing a lot of cosmetics, and like if you think about it, like 5 years ago, right, like I was lucky to get in pretty early on, where like not everyone was doing cosmetics just yet.
For timeline perspective, are we talking like right after COVID you started really pushing into this, or right before?
Before COVID,
Okay.
yeah. So social media, like influencers were just starting to become a thing, right? And that's when I kind of took over and was like, hey, I should like start doing social media. I think that this is going to be powerful. And it was easier to grow a platform back then. And there weren't as many platforms, right?
Right. Totally.
So,
yeah. What was TikTok? You know.
Exactly, right? But what it did is that it really helped me create a brand early on, and I branded myself really well from that beginning, and that helped on social media to where it creates more success. The problem though nowadays is that every marketing company saw what I was doing, right? Not just me, but in general what we were doing, being successful, and they try to kind of recreate that for every dentist out there now.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So every dentist now is a cosmetic dentist, right?
It's a sexy thing. Come on, man.
Right. They all do veneers, right?
Yeah.
Now, some of them haven't even done a veneer in probably over a year, but yet this marketing team is portraying as if they're doing it every day. They're doing this, right? And they're the specialist within that field. And it's hard because with cosmetic dentistry, those who do veneers, you don't have to be a specialist, right? And so it is really hard to really understand, okay, well, what differs from one dentist to the next?
Right, because if you said ortho, I know exactly what you do. If you said ped, I know what you do. If you said perio, I know, okay.
Right. And
I never thought about that, though. That's why I'm connecting the dots in my own head right now. Like, I never thought you don't technically have to be a specialist. Okay.
So what I've done is I went and got my ceramist and built his lab next to my office, right?
Yeah.
Now, the way that dentistry has been done in the past and is still being done today, where they send it to these big name labs and they're creating these veneers, right? It's not actually the best way to be done, right? It's just it's the way that it's been done for so many years. So me and Daniel, my ceramist, have really rethought this whole process to get these really natural veneers, and that's really has set us apart, where we're getting, unreal results that just are so natural. That's really uncomparable from anyone else. Now, if you see my page, you're gonna obviously see the difference between this other dentist who maybe does, one case a year versus what we're doing, which is doing it every day.
Yeah. But I think, though, to your, I guess, detriment, if you will, the untrained eye is a son of a gun. And there's a lot of people that don't know the difference.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then I know there's folks that still think, veneers, you had to grind the teeth down to these, kind of looks like a James Bond villain style thing. At least that's what I think about. I'm probably aging myself here, but I think about that. And then there's the folks that are like, well, that looks just as good, like I guess, or it looks close enough and it's cheaper. And I don't necessarily want to get into all the details behind it, but when did you go from like a general dentist, if you will, to really elevate yourself? Was that around the same time when all the social started for you, or when did you really know, like, hey, I kind of got a special skill set here?
Yeah, it was around that time I started dabbing into social media, right? But I didn't have my ceramist yet, so I was doing cosmetics. I was doing quite a few, but I was still using big labs, so I wasn't getting really the results I wanted. But I was also doing still general dentistry. I was really well known in sleep dentistry. I was actually teaching other doctors, mentoring in there. Like, I loved sleep dentistry.
Okay.
I think there's a lot to it. But I realized too that you can't do it all, right? If I really wanted to excel in one area, I couldn't keep doing sleep, keep doing general dentistry, right? Taking CE courses and learning how to do Invisalign, how to do implants, right? You can, but you're just general in everything, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a general dentist, right? I wanted to be the best. So I stopped doing all the other stuff, and that's when I went all in cosmetics. And that's when I realized, like, where am I limiting? And it's my lab.
Okay.
So I went and found Daniel, and we created this partnership. And that's when, like, I started to learn the real details of how to become a cosmetic dentist.
Got it. So part of the secret sauce then is the ceramist.
100%.
So if you don't have a good ceramist, you don't got it.
Yeah, it's really, it's a whole team, right? I mean, I couldn't do anything by myself. I don't have a good assistant, right, that actually knows what they're doing. If I don't have a concierge that is able to really, talk about and share with the patient the experience as well as, like, what makes us different, then I'm not closing anything. Right?
Yeah, of course.
So it really starts from the moment they inquire to the moment that they get their veneers.
The moment they inquire, whether that be online or phone call,
Yeah.
we're talking about, yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's something that a lot of dentists miss. And, you know, obviously most of our audience is geared towards that young and career doctor that's thinking about starting or buying their first practice. And I try to express oftentimes, because you had brought up marketing companies before, most of them, you know, they slap dental marketing on it because you're easy targets and you don't know good marketing from bad. And like, you know, it's easy to say, well, we do dental specific marketing, and you go, yeah, okay, cool. That sounds good. And then everybody kind of deduces it down to a price point. You know, what am I paying per month? And that sounds good enough and whatever. But I try and tell doctors, hey, so much matters on the experience side. And that I try to, and I haven't lately, kids, so as we talked about before, it takes a lot of time. But I used to try to go to different dentist offices all the time and just see, well, what was it like when I walked in the door? What was it like when I called? And, you know, I probably do a little bit of that in my day-to-day, like when I go out to a restaurant or do anything and like say, how was the experience for this different? You know, like as an example, to get out of dentistry for a second, whether you love or hate Southwest, I do appreciate that usually, sometimes the flight crew's a little bit curmudgeon-y, but usually they say, hey, we know you have a lot of options when you're flying, and we just want to say thank you for flying with us. We hope to see you on the next flight. And that unexpected thank you, I've always kind of heard or listened for. I thought, oh, that's a nice thing to have them say. Most people probably don't even hear it. Most people don't forget it or whatever. But the fact that they still do that, even though they're considered a low-cost airline and all these other things, was always something that stood out to me as like, oh, that's kind of a nice little thing to do. And so I try to tell doctors that, hey, you need to have something that does make you different, because a lot of doctors, as you know, will say, well, we're different. You know, we're this or that or the other. And I'm like, yeah, but when I call, you sound like every other office.
Yeah.
When I walk in, you kind of look like every other office. You know, when you see me, you kind of sound and talk and move and like every other office. Obviously, the ceramist doesn't do that for you. That's in the finished product. But what things do you look at, or you know, how do you kind of say, okay, this is where I really want to elevate our experience?
Yeah, I think there's two aspects that have really made me successful.
Okay. Now we're getting to the good stuff.
Yeah, one's branding, and two is that patient experience, right? I read this book called Unreasonable Hospitality.
Love that one.
Read it.
Yes, I have.
Incredible book. I mean, it changed my entire mindset of like this patient experience, right? Because dentistry has, again, been done the same way for probably 100 years. So my great-grandpa was actually one of the first oral surgeons to start the program at USC.
Wow, didn't know that.
Didn't know that actually until I was in dental school. Yeah, but actually a pretty cool story. Yeah. And I actually, then my dad gave me his like, he wrote a life book and gave it to me like last year.
Wow.
Which I, again, didn't know about.
Wow.
So I read about his life, and it was incredible to see a lot of these little things and how he changed like the way dentistry was done in that time, right? It used to be where to be an oral surgeon, you had to go and work for like 5-10 years, and then you could go get a degree. He went and talked to the hospital and was like, hey, as soon as I finish dental school, I want to come and do oral surgery. He was actually blind in one eye, so he couldn't actually do general dentistry, so it wasn't even an option, right? Okay. So he went and changed the trajectory of oral surgery, right? Yeah. And created this whole program. So that's been a huge like belief for me that like I can make a change, right? Got it. And so in dentistry, right, we're creatures of habit. I feel like dentists, right? Yeah. We use the same marketing people. We ask everyone what labs are you using, right? What group are you using? And then we just kind of follow each other, right? We're really good at following along, but I feel like as dentists, we're not great leaders in a lot of ways. So that book, Unreasonable Hospitality, really taught me that like, okay, we can do above and beyond patient care because people really hate going to the dentist, right? But let's make this an enjoyable experience, right? So yeah, get out of our own way, stop doing things the way that things have always been done, and find out whether it costs us a little bit more, right? But be unreasonable about it. Yeah. And that's been awesome. And then 2 is branding. So I think as dentists, we're not built to be businessmen, right? They give us 5 hours of business course in the whole dental
It's more than I thought. That's more than I thought.
Yeah, right. But the reality is that like you will never be successful if you go hire another company to do your marketing. Because what you're doing is you're just buying you're buying their brand. Right? Every marketing company has a brand that they're selling. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And then they're going to take you're going to take your company and they're going to put it through their branding system. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Okay, so then dentist has the same brand, right?
Yeah.
Which they do. So no, we've got to create our own brand, and we got to understand that. We got to do the research as dentists and then brand ourselves. Because people are coming to see us as the dentist.
Well, when did you get that first, when you started out pre-COVID, when did you get that first pop that you realized, hey, this is working? Some sort of proof, whether it was social proof or just, because not just the patient review, but like something that you really said, hey, this is taking off now.
Yeah. So I'd say like actually during COVID,
Okay.
I had a patient like reach out to me. We were closed. Our office was closed.
Wow.
And he's like, dude, I want to get veneers right now. I was like,
Yeah.
my office is closed.
Yeah, what?
I was like, great. Like, he's like, I'll pay today, right? Like,
He was looking in the mirror too much during COVID or on his phone. And was like, this isn't looking
No, and it's true. Everyone
very much
was,
true.
right?
Yep.
Like COVID was actually the best time for dentists because everyone's just looking at themselves
100%.
on virtual calls, right? So yeah, he's like, I want to do this right now. And I was like, okay, like, let's get this. So as soon as the office opened, he was in, and we did this case. And I've done a few cases before that, but it was like, he came back and it was the first time that I had someone be like, dude, doc, you changed my life.
Wow.
And he just started telling everyone, like,
Yeah.
and he was like, dude, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Wow.
And like, the guy is very successful. Like,
Okay.
drives the nicest cars.
Wow.
Biggest businesses. Like,
Wow.
goes to Super Bowls. Like,
So knows a lot of people too.
knows a ton of
Okay,
people,
great,
right?
great, yeah.
And it was the first time where like, I really felt like I made an impact in someone's life.
Yep.
Right. And it was also like he was feeding it back to me.
Yep.
Where it's just like boosting my confidence. And I was like, oh wow, like I'm kind of good at this.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna have your team talk to you about this concept, 4 C's to a breakthrough, at some point. Have you heard that before? Oh, okay, we'll have them talk to you. I don't want to take up the podcast time with it, but it goes full circle, because to hear, to see you and know where you are today and know the trajectory that you're on, but to hear about, there was a point in time where you weren't confident in your cosmetic dentistry. You're probably really confident in sleep at that point. You're like, listen, I can help you sleep better during COVID, but you're getting some of these cases under your belt, and then you're like, hey, and then you do the case, and you'll ask them about it. Let's flash forward to today. I don't want to say you're reinventing, but you started a new location. You obviously have a patient base, so you are starting over or from scratch-ish, but you have, like we said, 80,000 followers and patients and a reputation and a brand, and people know you, and you're sought after, right? Like, you're probably booked out a little bit right now. Yeah, you don't have to share all the numbers, but you're booked out a little bit right now, right? And doors aren't open yet.
Yeah.
Opening next week though, yes?
So we actually opened 2 weeks ago.
I guess I'm counting that opening, the grand opening.
But our grand opening, yeah. So
yeah. I'm counting that.
We're having a big party. But
you're
yes,
right. Yeah,
that's
I'm thinking of the party. That's all. Yeah. The party. And so you're booked out and all that stuff. Talk to me about the project, because did you start or buy your first practice?
So I bought into my first.
You bought
practice.
into, so it was already up and running.
Yes. So
this is much different then.
Much different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So originally my partner, I worked as an associate out of dental school. Awesome experience.
Okay,
learned
cool.
a ton. And then my partner did a startup back in 2013.
Okay, I didn't know that. So somebody did do a startup, and then you said, hey, let me buy in.
Yep. So initially I was like, I didn't want to do a startup. Like, I was like, I'm not the entrepreneur. Like, but I like the idea of, like, I love masterminds. I love just getting together and thinking about things. So I was like, I love the idea of a partnership, right? So that was always what I kind of searched for.
Okay.
And I knew this guy growing up, and so I reached out, and actually he was like, yeah, I need a partner, because he was too busy.
Yeah.
Like, he's just doing so much dentistry and couldn't keep up. So I bought in 2019.
Got it.
And became 50-50 partner with him.
Got it. Okay.
And the way we kind of established it was like, you see your own patients, right? So like any new patient I get is my patient, right? But that means that I started with 0 patients walking into the door, right?
Yeah.
And he had 3,000 patients.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So he actually did all the dentistry while I slowly started to build my own. But then what I did is I took over as basically the office manager, ran the whole practice.
Got it.
Which was awesome, because I learned a ton on how to manage a practice, how to fire employees, how to budget. Yeah. Right. And then
you learned it though, like School of Hard Knocks ways.
Oh yeah.
Like, let's try this. That didn't work. Let's try a different way.
Oh, ton of failures, dude.
Okay.
Ton of just lost money. I mean, but that's the best way to learn, right? Thrown in the fire. There's no acceptance to fail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly
you just keep going. It's like, okay, that didn't work. Next thing up, right? And at the same time, like, I wanted to represent where he was working so hard and providing big chunk for us. I was like, dude, but I'm gonna get there, right? And within 1 year, I was matching his collections.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So.
Is that because you were office manager and so you were secretly putting all the patients on your schedule?
No, actually not. We split it pretty evenly.
Yeah.
But cosmetics helps, right? I mean,
of course.
like you're doing a cosmetic case, it's massive for you.
Yeah.
And that's really where I saw the impact in people's lives, but from a business standpoint, cosmetics makes huge.
And I think that's also to what you said earlier. There are a lot of general dentists that are, not to sound negative, but it's a whack-a-mole game. It's like, I'm going to do Invisalign, and then I'm going to go to a course. I'm going to do veneers. I'm going to go to a course and do sleep. Now I've got doctors like, I'm going to do Botox. And I'm like, please don't do Botox. I just told one doctor, I was like, look, don't do Botox because let me tell you something. And maybe it's a Southern Cal thing, but every guy or girl has their injector.
Yeah.
They're already going to a place. They got their person. They're not going to walk into your dental office and like mid-cleaning, you say, you want Botox? Or go, no, dude, that weirds me out. I have my person. So I was just like, don't do it for those reasons. Forget all the liability. But I think that too many general dentists are kind of whack-a-moling the thing that they think will make them the money instead of going kind of narrow and deep.
Yep.
And so you start doing that, but now flash forward to you are in full-blown, startup, but not from scratch with 0 patients, but startup in a project sense. So anything come out of this project that you thought, well, that was a lot harder than I thought it was? Or anything pleasantly surprised you and you're like, oh, that was actually, some of the stuff was actually easier than I thought it was?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that I felt was easier.
Okay, well, it's all hard. It's all hard.
I don't know. Maybe I just always do things the hard way.
Yeah.
But you can look at it and be like, okay, it's hard and it sucks, or you can look at it and be like, it's hard and it's awesome, right?
Yeah.
I think that it comes down to a mindset, and I've learned from a lot of mentors. They're like, just take stress and just throw that word out the window, right?
Oh,
it doesn't
cool.
exist. It really doesn't if you think about it, right? Like what creates stress? We do.
Yeah, it's
right?
our own perception.
It's a mindset, right? Because one day this one aspect's going to stress you out, the next day it's not. You know what I mean? It could be exactly the same situation.
Right.
So if you think about it like that, it's like every experience is a learning experience and a growth experience. And if you just look at it as that, like, then there's no stress.
Yeah.
And
I'm
it's
clip
still
that
hard.
and use that on social. That's good. That's good.
Right. So, but it was different. So when I bought into my first practice, we did an expansion. So we did this whole build out.
Yep.
And I actually was reading in my journal this morning about that experience. And I remember it said, I have no idea what I'm doing. but it was a cool experience.
Yeah.
Well, and it was funny because I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go build out my new place. And I was like, I've done this before, right?
Right.
And I go and do it. And it was like, I literally probably wrote in my journal, I don't know what I'm doing, right? And so there's a ton of learning experiences from that. It took way longer than I thought it would. It took us almost a year and a half to actually finish the build out when it was supposed to be 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who told you 4 months?
My contractor.
Oh, buddy. I would have told you there's no way,
Yeah,
doc.
right?
Sometimes I am that person for doctors, and I feel like I'm killing the dream, and it's more to just, I hate to say be a realist, but there is a version of like, and doc, if it doesn't take 4 months and it really takes us more like 8 to 10, just be prepared. Is that cool? And I need them to say, yeah, that's cool. Because if they're like, oh my God, no, I have to be open in 4, then there's certain concessions and things. I mean, I've seen your office. It is immaculate and stands on its own compared to any other office. I would tell you that, no lie. So as a part of that, I'm sure is why it took a little longer. And I'm sure you had some details and some things that you probably wouldn't let go. But if you were to say, hey, no, let's pretend that you, had to be open in 4 months. There are concessions and things you could have cut and said, hey, okay, cool. As long as I get open in 4 months, I'm willing to cut this or cut that or the other. And that's one of the things I think about a project is it's usually about what are you willing to cut or go on without to hit certain other things that may be more important to you, whether that's budget or time or whatever.
Yeah.
But so it took a lot longer.
Yeah, and it's true, right? I mean, it's like, okay, if we didn't want to put all the details and the design aspect into it, right, then we could have definitely shortened that, right?
Secret room. What are we calling that? What's not a secret?
So
speakeasy room?
Yeah, speakeasy.
Super slick, by the way.
Thanks.
Super
it's
slick.
like
But you could have gone without that.
Could have, right? No, you don't need it to practice.
It is your
dentistry.
favorite thing, though, right?
It is my
It's
favorite.
my favorite thing,
It's
too.
my
Yeah,
favorite.
Yeah.
But it's true, right? But the reality was like, in dentistry, like my goal is like this is going to be my baby till I retire, right? Mm-hmm. So why would I shortcut now for a couple months?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I did have a temporary location that I was working out of, right? So I was still growing.
Good.
And not every dentist can do that.
Absolutely.
Right? Mm-hmm. But if you create a brand, you can really do whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
And so with that brand, it was like, okay, well, where do I want to work? I
Yeah.
can choose wherever I want to work.
True.
I could work and I just rented one room
Yep.
from this dentist, and we were there 3 days a week,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And so it wasn't that stressful when it was like, okay, we're having to pay double rent now, and we're having to still not be done with our build out. To me, that wasn't the stressful side, because I was like, I can still do what I love.
Right.
And eventually we're gonna get there. And the feeling now to be in my office is like, you don't realize how good of a feeling it is until you're actually there.
Okay, I love hearing that part, because it is, even though we're saying that it's our own perception, it is stressful still. It does still weigh on you. And also, when you're talking about the branding part, when you have a strong enough brand, people will follow you anywhere, right? It's the same reason why, as I have an iPhone, people line up outside in the weather and the elements when the new one comes out, because you gotta have it, and the brand's that strong. And maybe you're an Android guy, or people that love Android, fair enough. But those guys wait in line too. They're like, I have to have the new Android phone. I'm gonna go wait in line. I don't care if it's raining or snowing. I'm gonna be first for the new, which the foldable ones are pretty slick. I do get jealous of the foldable phones. So you said that about the brand thing that I really liked. On top of that, I think that perception part is really something to hone in on, and that, like, hey, knowing that feeling that you have now, I would imagine, say, I'd do it all over again. Like, yeah, so what? I was paying double rent. So what? It took longer. Is that true? Is that fair?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
there's no I'd ever go back.
Yeah.
And once you build something, you're proud of it, right?
Of course.
And I think that as an owner doc, as someone who's doing a startup, right? Like, have pride in what you're doing, and like, enjoy that experience. And it is always worth it in the end, right?
Yeah.
And there's still failures. I still have failures now.
Yeah, of course.
So.
Little ones, maybe. I don't. Maybe big ones. I don't know. You hide them well, right? So let's talk marketing for a second. Besides, you obviously at some point said, "Hey, I'm not going to use every other marketing company." Did you just decide that you're going to put yourself out there? Did you decide that you were going to let the work speak for itself? Is it a combination of things? Because I think that one of the challenges any new and career doctor would have would be like, well, dude, I don't have a bunch of cases and a bunch of before and afters. And you have celebrity patients now, and I don't have a bunch of those. So, like, what am I going to do to put out there? What would you say to that?
Yeah, I have a ton of dentists that reach out, and it's like, well, I don't live in California or Orange County, right? Like, I could never be like you. And it's like, okay, but like, I have someone flying in from Montana to come see me. So obviously people in Montana want veneers, right? And you can build that because people are willing to travel, right? If they see something that they like. And so you think about, like, if someone wants a nice car, right? They're willing to travel, go get that car, and then bring it back.
Of course.
So it's just normal now.
Yeah.
Right? But we're putting ourselves in boxes where, right, we have to only market in the yellow pages to our local community, to our neighborhood, and that's the only people we can touch.
Yeah.
No, it's worldwide now. We get people traveling from Canada, South America, to come see us because they see the results we can. Now, it's not just showing your work. That is important, right? You have to elevate your work. You have to do photography to learn. So the one thing I'm good at is I'm OCD, that, like, attention to detail is what I love. And I have to be the best at, like, everything. So that's where it came down to photography. I went and took all the courses to figure out, how do I show my work, right?
Got it.
I went and got a ceramist who has all those little details, and we still talk about every single case together. We talk about every single aspect of how can we improve that. Even we've done hundreds and hundreds of cases.
Your ceramist comes in pre and post, right? Like, pre-procedure, to meet the patient, figure out what they want, kind of comes along with you, right?
Not for the initial consult.
Okay.
So I spend the time really, because
on the front.
The reality is, as dentists, we're used to, again, just sending it to the lab and being like, hey, design this for me.
Yeah.
Right? We've put in the artistry into the lab aspect, right? Reality is that we're the dentists, we're the artists, right?
Good point.
Now there's a balance between that. I believe that Daniel Yang is one of the best artists that exist, right? I could not do what he does when it comes to porcelain, right? But I need to guide him, and I need to shape the veneers or the temporary veneers to be exactly where I want, and then have him use his skills to see that, right? Because I went to school for 4 years understanding dentistry, right? He has no education on that.
Right.
So I can't just expect them to, like, be able to give that to me. So we have to be stronger, and our leadership and artistry when it comes to veneers, and not just give it to the lab.
Got it. Okay. And then, so he does, I thought there was something unique, and doesn't he show up though post procedure to kind of, I don't want to say reveal, but tell me about that. Cause I always thought that was cool.
So he does come in. So once we do a design, 3D digital design, and then I'll prep and then put temporaries on.
Yep.
So they always come back that next day after the initial appointment, and that's when me and Daniel, the ceramist, will come together and we look at the temps, and then I'm hand shaping. So that's where we customize everything. Like every single case, I reshape and I make it to their specifications for their features. But Daniel is there also being like, hey, with porcelain, I think we need to do this, right? And I'm saying from dentistry, we need to do this.
Got it.
So there is a collaboration on that appointment. And then we have different checks and balances throughout while he's making the veneers.
Those checks and balances you came up with over the course of the career, just stuff that you said, hey, we just need to kind of have these things buttoned up, which you wouldn't get with a lab.
No, you literally, like, a lot of times when I was working with labs, I get the case like the morning of the patient's there.
That's what I thought.
Or it would be like I'm taking off the temps and the case is being delivered into my office. Right? They'd always call me like, "What time's your patient coming in?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm guessing we're getting in a good spot, right?"
Yep.
And then we're trying them on, and it was always like, rarely did they ever really look like my temps. You know what I mean? Daniel mimics my temps perfectly, right? So like that's where you do have to have the artistry of what are you designing. But if you don't have a ceramist that can actually like again take your artistry and mimic it, then you're just guessing.
Kind of all for nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. In this new world, in your new practice, what's your favorite tool or favorite piece of tech? Favorite thing that you use, something you use daily? Not necessarily have to say a brand, but a thing.
Yeah, dude, there's so much awesome technology now. I don't have it, but this one dentist just showed me the CO2 laser. Yeah. Right, and the way it's actually able to really clean up the tissue, and the way it works, and it can supposedly take off veneers. Like that's incredible. Wow. Like the way it cleans up so clean. I mean, I love. All lasers are actually really incredible. I always gum contour, right? Okay. And like the way that I can do that with a laser. So if I didn't have that, I think my cases would look way worse. Okay. But I love scanners.
The magic wand.
Yeah,
the laser.
It is literally. It's incredible.
Okay.
And I love the scans are awesome. I love scanning, and honestly, camera is like
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say your camera.
I love my camera, dude. Like you always see me with a camera in my hand. And like. I'm always trying different things out, new lights, trying to improve, right? Like you go into my office and I mean, I have probably like 20 different lights that I've bought over the years to try out. But I think that's fun. I love like, there's the artistry of making the veneers and then the artistry of like showing them, you know?
What, to pivot for a second, when did we get into the shoe and the bow tie game? And that's a part of your persona and that's a part of what's in the office. When did you get into that?
So I remember growing up, my mom, before each school year, she would go and she would take each kid out shopping. And so she would be like, okay, you get to pick out 4 outfits for the school year. Right? And you get to pick 1 pair of shoes. Right? And so I think early on, like I loved fashion where it's like, okay, like I want to show up and look good, you know? And that wasn't really important to me on like which outfit was I going to piece together. You know, what looked good together, like so I get the right shorts to match the shirt, right? So fashion's always like always been cool to me. And I always loved kind of like shopping. I don't have time now to do it.
Yeah, of course.
Kids,
Online
you know, but so that's always played a big role. And then my grandpa was also a big influence, especially with my bow tie. So when I was graduating dental school, he came to me and he goes, "Hey, I want to give you some advice." And he goes, "If you want to be the best, you got to look the best." And my grandpa...
Did your grandpa know Deion Sanders? Have you heard that?
No.
You heard that? Oh my gosh, you never heard this? Deion Sanders is notorious for having when you look good, then you play good. So it's to kind of look good, feel good.
Yeah.
Feel good, play good. And when you play good, they pay good, he says. And so I feel
love
like,
that.
you never heard that?
No.
That's my favorite Dion,
That's
bro.
a
Yeah. I
great-
think your grandpa and Dion were friends or something.
Maybe
Yeah.
it should have.
Because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I don't have, when the ushering of Zuckerberg, let's say, right, became the hoodie CEO.
Yeah.
And so I never liked that. To your like, I always liked to look the part or dress for the part that you want, type of thing.
Yep.
So it's interesting though that this stuck.
Yeah. Well, and so my grandpa, he was an anesthesiologist, so he went to the hospital and he wore scrubs, right? I mean, that's what you can't wear, right?
Yeah.
But what he would do is he'd get dressed every single day. He'd wear a suit and he'd drive to the hospital. He'd change into his scrubs, work all day, finish his day, get back into a suit and drive home.
Wow.
Right?
How funny.
And so that stuck out to me, right? And I hate scrubs, to be honest. I think that
Can I ask what you? I don't know if I want to say brand. I don't care. They may love it, but what scrubs do you wear?
I don't wear scrubs at all.
You don't wear anything, lab coat, nothing.
No, I don't have a lab coat.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been a patient, so I don't know.
No, I don't. Because I think that again, I think there's a white coat. It brings this nervousness to the patient, you know. And I want people to see me as who I am, right?
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
So I really don't. I don't have a lab coat or anything that I wear.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really actually cool scrubs out there.
There's some really cool stuff now. And there's
super
some
fashionable.
custom stuff,
Yeah.
and there's some stuff that looks like you would want to
So
wear it.
I buy those for my assistants,
Yes,
right?
yes,
and I'm
yes,
like, this is what you have to wear.
Yes,
'cause
yes,
it
yeah.
matches our brand.
Yeah.
So I love those ones. But I think as a dentist, right, if we want to look like everyone else, then look like everyone else. But if you want to differentiate yourself, well then yes, dress up, right? I think it's true that the world today goes into just comfort zone, right? And just walk around and just sweats and things.
Right.
In the olden days, it was when you were going on an airplane, you wore
so
a
glad
suit.
you're saying this. Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
I get there's comfortability and it's great. But at the same time, I think there's something to dude, get ready for your day.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Yes.
Because you don't know what's going to happen that day. You don't know who you're going to meet, right? What if I'm sitting next to some very successful person, right, on the plane, and I'm sitting there in sweats.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm an amazing cosmetic dentist. And they're like, okay,
sure
what do
about
you,
that?
what do you do? You know, you do a couple of fillings.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very, you want to exude success.
Yeah,
At the end of the day.
yeah. Oh, and I ask all that stuff because I think that's led up to the position that you're in today, and I think some of that that part about design and being interested in you self-proclaimed OCD and all those things led you to this. Hey, my veneers better look like the best veneers on the planet because you have an eye for the aesthetic and how things look together, and does it go together, and does it go with the face, and does it go with the smile, and to your point, part of the secret is gum contouring. And so it's interesting because I think there's a lot of folks that don't think there's that much that goes into it. I think both dentists probably that are just learning think I can just put on veneers and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then there's, I'm sure, a lot of patients that, so when you see patients, talk to me about is everybody absolutely, doc, whatever you say goes, or do you still have some patients that are I know you've done some celebrity stuff and some other people, and I like their work, but do I really need them, or it really costs that much? You still deal with some of the same challenges that an everyday dentist would deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not everyone's on board, right? Not everyone wants to spend, $30,000 to $60,000 on their smile, right?
Yeah.
And I get that, right? And they're also a lot of times people come and be like, well, my dentist said they do it for half that price, right?
Of course, yeah.
So I think that you're going to always have different things that you're running into. And you don't have to be, you're not the best just to start out, right? And that's okay. But the thing about it is when I first started doing veneers, I missed a lot. I didn't see it, right? Because I hadn't done it enough, right? But that's okay because the patients love their smile at that point. They still have cases that I personally probably redo. I'll be honest, I'm actually redoing my mother-in-law's teeth because she was the first veneer case I ever did.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And
okay.
I never liked it.
Yeah.
So I'm redoing them to do what I want now.
Yeah.
But at that time when I first had them, I thought they were the best thing they were the best thing because at that point they were from my eye standards, right?
Yeah.
But as you grow and you learn and you just continue to get better, if you get 1% better every year or every day, right? that's how I've gotten to this point, is that constant improving and wanting to get better.
Is that another book that you're going to mention? Some Atomic Habits stuff? Isn't that an Atomic Habits?
That is a great book, yes.
Yeah. Okay, what are you reading right now, book-wise?
Yeah, so I'm obsessed with storytelling.
Okay.
This is kind of my next journey. When you talk about, when I look at successful people, a lot of those people that I find bring success are really good at telling stories. I think that they're engaging. They're able to take a moment and really help you to see it from their eyes. And also think about like my patient experiences, right? Like they're incredible, but if I can't share that experience or help other people like feel their emotions, then how are these other people ever going to see it any different, right?
Yeah.
So there's a book called Storyworthy
Okay.
that I'm reading right now,
Okay.
and it teaches you kind of the process of how to tell a story.
Okay, I've heard of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the problem is, I would say I was not good at it. I just told facts, right?
Yeah.
And then the story would change every time I told it to be bigger and bigger.
Yes.
And it just kind of, it never really touched people the way I wanted it to. But this book really goes into the depth of like, how do you kind of jump from like future to present to get the story across and to make it impact.
And then do you use that storytelling in your treatment presentation?
All the time.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's like all I do is tell stories.
Yeah,
Like
right.
I rarely will I like, okay, here, let's talk about this line angle, and let's talk about like,
Right.
to be honest, it's not about the teeth. Like, okay, if you want to see my work, go look at my work, right? I don't need to tell you my work, right? But if you want to know the impact that my patients feel when they get a smile, okay, let me tell you this story.
Got it. Okay. Have you heard of, there's one I like, Story Brand 2.0?
Yeah, it's very similar, but
Yeah. You read that
is
one already?
Yeah, I read that one too.
Yeah. I've read that twice now, but I've not read Storyworthy, so I need to check in on that.
Yeah.
You had said a second ago, hey, if I'm being honest, I'm redoing my mother-in-law's teeth. So let's talk about redos for a second. Not in your work necessarily, but if you did wake up tomorrow and you had to start over, no patients, no nothing, what would be the first 2 or 3 things you would do? Besides buy a camera. You'd buy a camera, a really nice
number
camera.
one, buy a camera. That's 100%.
Yeah, what would you do? Would you buy a camera?
I would buy a camera.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll give you
'cause-
that one.
Because the first thing you should do with a patient when they come is take a picture.
Okay.
Take a picture of their smile and show it to them. Put it on a big screen TV, 60-inch TV
Yeah,
screen,
yep.
and just talk to them and be like, hey, what do you see? And you don't even need to tell them anything, right? Just ask them what they see.
Yeah.
Right? They're gonna pick it out, and then they're gonna tell you exactly what they want to change, and then you're like, okay, let's do it.
Okay, that's great.
It's an easy sales technique, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing hard to it.
Yes.
2, I would find a place that like really is your own, okay, and like make it your own. Now it doesn't have to be speakeasy, right? Spend as much as I did on this build out, but like make it look nice, right? Make it, just do little things to improve it, and. My wife bought a ton of our pictures at Target, right? They're cheap, but the way you put them together and the way you show, or print pictures of your patients and put them up.
What about CE? How much CE have you taken, and do you think it's all been worth it, or would you strategically say, no, if I was going to go narrow and deep, I'm just going after, you don't have to name the CE courses, but.
Yeah, I think all CE courses are great, right? Like honestly, like when I went and graduated dental school, my number one thing was I was going to CE courses every month.
Wow.
My wife was not happy.
Yeah.
Right? She's like, you gone again?
What are you, an athlete or something?
Yeah,
dude? I
right.
didn't marry an athlete, I married a dentist.
But I wanted to learn everything. I was
Okay.
like, okay, I'm going to go. And it built the foundation of like where I am today. So like, yeah, I only do cosmetics, but I know how everything else works, right? So I think that that's important. You do need to have some basic understanding of everything, right? But then once you kind of really evolve into like what it is that you want, then go all in and just start taking those courses.
Okay.
Right. So it takes time to really, really dive into that person you want to be. And then once you know, go all in.
And then you've also, you'd started earlier saying about masterminding and that kind of stuff when you went into the partnership. You've had coaches, mentors, you've been in mastermind groups. Like how much has that helped you accelerate your results? And some of it, was it all helpful or was some of it not so helpful? Or?
I've always hired a coach.
Okay.
Okay. I've always had like a life coach, and I've always had a business coach.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's super important. Your wife was one of my coaches.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And she's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I wish she was still coaching.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. She'll hear this and I'll let her know. Yeah.
Yeah. I tell Maddie, I was like, as soon as Lindsay comes back, I need her.
Yeah.
But she's done your wife did wonders for me, right?
Yeah.
She actually helped me transition through leaving my practice. And to be honest, I'll be honest, your wife was the one that I talked to, and she helped me see my vision of like, it's time for me to leave.
Yeah.
When I was there was no way I was ever going to leave. Right.
Yeah.
So you do need an outside like support system,
right?
Whether it's a coach,
right,
or a team. So that is super important. And then on top of it, you want help, right? I could figure it out myself,
of course.
But at the end of the day, if I hire someone, I can get there 5 years faster. It's gonna be that much better.
Yeah.
I only am able to do what I'm doing right now because of my coaches, right? And they're all different. Sometimes you get to some coaches where you kind of run out of stuff, and then you got to go find a new coach. Some evolve with you, and that's awesome. So finding the right fit for you, and then knowing when it's time to move on is important.
Yeah, no, I think to pull that thread a second, I don't think you should have a coach for 10 years, or at least the same one necessarily, right? I think that you will grow and evolve and kind of grow out of that.
Yep.
But also, you brought up the part about Lindsay, and I say to doctors oftentimes, like, you have a supportive spouse, right? And I know you do, because she have 4 children, so she is a rock star. But also, you have this supportive spouse, and you're going to do a project, a startup, whatever you're going to do. You're going to run a dental practice. Who are you going to talk to about that stuff? You know what I mean? That that is weighing on your brain, or that is maybe holding you back, whatever. Your spouse would want to listen, but I'm sure, I'm fortunate where Lindsay knows a lot of the things, but if she didn't, she'd be like, well, honey, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that sucks, or that's cool, or whatever, but there's not really much I can do to help you. Yeah. And so oftentimes I'm like, you need a sounding board so that you're not in this alone, because it can be a lot. And you just need to know that, hey, if I have questions, if I have concerns, maybe sometimes if people say, yeah, you're right, the way you're thinking about it's right. And that's all they said, but you needed that.
Yeah.
And other times they said, you know what, doc, that's not exactly the way you're seeing it isn't the only way to see it. There's other angles and things. And you go, oh, okay, cool. I needed to change my perspective. Again, you could have figured it out on your own, or you could have chatted with your wife about it and she could have lent her advice, but she would also had to have said, well, I've never done a startup, honey, so I don't really know what to say about the project, except, oh my God, you're over budget, or oh my God, you're paying double rent.
Yeah.
Let's stop that. I mean,
yeah, and I think there's a time and place for it.
Of course.
Right? I mean, if you want to work with your spouse, right, then that works for you, then that works for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I think my wife did work in my practice.
Oh, cool.
And she did myofunctional therapy when I was doing sleep.
Okay.
And it worked in that scenario for a little bit, right? But I also realized I would come to her with all my problems, and I'd be like, hey, this, and it became overwhelming to her, right?
Yeah, insightful.
And I thought I love her, I want to share my problems with her, right? Yeah. And luckily she's great about communicating, where she was like, hey, I need to tell you, this is great and you can come to me anytime you want, but it's overwhelming me, right? And that did put a strain on our relationship, because it was I wanted someone to kind of be a sounding board for me, right? And I was either frustrated in moments, right? And that sometimes is not your spouse.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's hard to wear the hats of both wife and mom and business coach and therapist. And no wonder she's going, hey, Tyler, please just take it easy.
For sure.
Well, to wrap it up, and I can't thank you enough, and I'm very excited about the grand opening or open house, whatever we're calling it. But tell me about what you're working on now. And where can people find you and all the socials and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I'm just loving my practice.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, just continue to build that brand. My goal is to be known as the best cosmetic dentist.
Okay.
I truly believe that we create some of the most natural veneers out in the market. The way we're doing dentistry is incredible. I love every single second that I go to work and be able to craft these. I love being able to think in my mind just this artistry, and when the patients come in, it's this picture, this beautiful portrait of what we can do. So one, I love doing that, and then just getting better at it. Two, it's fun to go to my lab and look at all the other cases, right, and see the type of preps that are out there.
Yeah.
And it's also discerning to me because it's like we're not helping our patients with this type of dentistry.
Okay.
Right. So I want us as dentists to become better. I'm creating a course, cosmetic course to help teach dentists on, again, that aspect of we are the artists, right? And we should know more about how to do cosmetic dentistry the right way and create these natural results. So that will be coming out this year some point.
Is everything under Hales Aesthetic? Because that is the brand.
So that's that is like my website, but so halesaesthetic.com.
Okay.
But on social media, everything's Dr. Tyler Hales, just
Okay.
Dr. Tyler Hales.
Okay.
So Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, that's where you can find me. Message me if you have questions. I love, again, masterminding. Like, use me as a mentor for all you startups. I'm a wealth of knowledge, I'll be honest, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have the answers to everything. I'm still learning. I'm still failing. But, like, let's talk about how we can get you to be the next best dentist in your area. And I got a lot of tips for you.
Yeah, right on. One last thing is there's some folks that are listening to this that won't be in the dental field. What should they look for if they are going to cosmetic dentists? Like, there's got to be some things to avoid or things to know that, like, because we had talked about this, off podcast about some less than honest characters out there that are pretending to be this cosmetic extraordinary folks that you might look at their work or other dentists look at their work and go, that's not very good.
Yeah.
It's funny because the first time this happened, I remember a doctor who had a very big social media following. And somebody said, "Oh, do you know this doctor?" And I said, "Yeah, I know who they are." And they go, "Yeah, their work's terrible." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that," because they had a huge following and a lot of photos. And they're like, "Yeah, that work's junk." And I was like, "Oh, well, I didn't. Okay, sounds good." But in the game, you know it, right? Just like if you saw somebody take a swing with a baseball bat and you were a professional baseball player, you say, "That swing's terrible." Like they're never going to be a pro. So, what should somebody who is interested in cosmetic dentistry either look for or shy away from?
Yeah. So. One, I obviously ask for a portfolio. Like every good cosmetic dentist who's doing a ton is taking photos. I mean, they should have a portfolio of all these different cases, and they should ask for, okay, have you done a case that's like mine? Okay, I've done hundreds and hundreds of cases, so give me a smile and be like, okay, what's something that represents similar to this situation? Okay. I got like 5 cases. Right. Because you want to see like and like, right? Not, I mean, again. The worst thing is when people bring in a photo and be like, I want this smile. Like, it doesn't work like that, you know?
That's what I was going to ask. If I bring in a smile and say, this is Brad Pitt, you're like, listen, dude, this,
yeah, right.
I can do some stuff, but I can't make it like Brad Pitt, right?
Exactly.
So that's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
Okay.
It just doesn't work like that, right? But like talking about, okay, well, what is your specific smile going to look like, okay? And then 2, I would ask, like, okay, and which ceramist is doing this, my veneers? Right, they should know a name, not a lab. Don't say the lab is doing this, right?
Okay,
but which ceramist, right? They should have a connection with the ceramist. Now, sometimes people are busy that they have different ceramists that they work for different cases. So that's why you always want to ask, okay, which ceramist? Because if they have 2 or 3 different ceramists, what are those ceramists? And then ask for those cases that ceramist did. Okay, so be specific with it. And then I just say, go for something that you like the look of. Those dentists should have a consistent look. Okay, it shouldn't be like all over the place where every smile looks completely different. Okay, dentists are really good at being consistent because that means your process is done right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So when someone comes to me and says, "I want a Hollywood bright white fake smile," then I go and I send them to my friend. Yeah. Right? Because I'm like, that's not my specialty. So like understand that each dentist has a different type of look that are really good and follow one that you like on it. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Because I think a lot of people would bring a photo and say, hey, give me this. And I wouldn't have known like, hey, that's actually a bad idea. And I think the part about knowing the ceramist is really important. But I totally would have missed the photo. I would have been like, bring a photo. Why not? Like, isn't that what you're into? Dentists say that all the time. Bring me a photo, right? And I used to say that. Yeah. And I got in trouble because they're like, well, it doesn't look like this. Right. And you're like, well, okay, but now you're backpedaling, trying to tell them all the reasons why. Well, you aren't Brad Pitt at the end of the day, so there's only so much I can do. Right. In that degree, there was, if you had to say, because I think that there's a version of
like you could say this about a lot of things, right? A good haircut isn't cheap and a cheap haircut isn't good. So we say, hey, a good veneer case, if you will, or a good smile makeover isn't cheap and a cheap smile makeover isn't good. What should somebody be expecting to see? And maybe not at your price point or maybe at your price point, but like, hey, if somebody, let's just pretend this for a second. If somebody says, yeah, I can do that, and it's $500 a tooth, you should leave immediately, or is that the going rate, or what should somebody expect to see?
Yeah, so it varies, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could see veneers, and I'm talking specifically porcelain. Okay,
Yeah,
so
okay.
let's take composite out of the question. So if we're talking porcelain, right, it's going to vary from like $1,000 to $5,000 per tooth.
Okay.
Okay. Reality is that $1,000 a tooth is junk.
Okay.
The most time getting that from China, right?
Okay.
You're using a lab that's like $100 per case,
Wow.
right?
Wow. Okay.
So that's just not aesthetics.
I'm learning so much right now. Okay.
So if you really want to work with a master ceramist who's getting high-end veneers, right, you've got to pay for that master ceramist. Okay, that means lab costs on the doctor side. So, okay, the way that you increase, so if you're cheaper, then you're using a lower-end lab, or you're not using a real master ceramist.
Okay.
So that is where price point of like over $2,000 per tooth is more realistic.
Okay.
Because that means that they're using a higher end lab, which is better material, better aesthetics, better artistry.
How long should this last, this investment in the teeth?
Yeah, veneers, I mean, like I said, when they're done right and the functionality of those veneers are done correct, then they should last 20, 30 years.
Wow. Okay. So you're making this investment, but it's going to obviously last you a long time.
Yeah, I mean, longer than your car, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. I'm asking all that stuff for my own knowledge and information. Maybe it means nothing to anybody on the podcast, but my mind is blown and I'm learning so much. And I'm like, wow, okay. And I knew an idea of price point. I didn't think, and I think there's another distinction there. Hey, well, what material we're talking? Like, if you're looking at a dentist and they say I'm going to do it, you should be saying we're talking porcelain, correct? Because you don't know. No, the lay patient doesn't know materials.
Yeah.
And so they just say, well, this is a veneer. And you're like, well, that's a composite. So that should be out of the question. Or some other version and not porcelain. I think those are other things they could clue in on as well to know. I'm either at the right place or I'm at the wrong place.
Yeah, it's tricky because there's also tons of different porcelain.
Of course.
And they're all different aesthetics. There's this, depending on the case, it's depending on how I choose my porcelain, right? So I wouldn't say that every dentist should be like, oh, I only use this material because I think that every case is different.
Okay, fair enough.
But it's hard to give educational information for my patients to be like, okay, here's the whole thing about which porcelain you should use.
Yeah, you might put somebody to sleep too if you went down the different levels of
no one
porcelain.
wants to hear that. Maybe some dentists on this.
Well, in that note, we will end here, in my opinion, on a high note because I had a lot of fun. So thank you so much, Doc. And we can find you at Dr. Tyler Hales on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, halesaesthetic.com.
Yep.
Is that easy? As long as you know how to spell aesthetic, folks. And I can't wait to see where the new venture takes you. So excited.
Yeah, dude, this was the best. Appreciate you, Jonathan.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.